If you're in a place where you don't want 2026 to look like 2025 or any other year in the past for that matter, this is the right video for you. I'm going to show you 7 different ways to change your life, one of which is the way that's going to unlock everything. But it's just pretty much going to guarantee your life is going to change. Now, this is taken from over 10 years of experience working on myself, hundreds of thousands of dollars, learning different modalities. We're going to address this somatically, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all the different angles, so that 2026 can actually be a year where you are intentionally creating and designing your life, and it's not just a repeat of your patterns, and it's not a repeat of the lessons, and you can actually move out of all that stuff. Most people start with good intentions and a strong desire to change, but they go about it wrong. It's probably because you start at the very top here, which is your actions. You go, oh wait, if I take different actions, I'm going to get different results. Well, that's true. But we all know how that works, right? You try a diet, you try making something a non-negotiable in your life, and you do it for so long, then all of a sudden you fall off. See, it didn't last long. That's the whole motivation doesn't last, discipline does. And discipline just focus on changing your actions, which your input and your actions matter. But if you try to focus from the top down, it's going to be really hard. If you focus from the bottom up, it naturally changes your actions. You don't have to effort yourself to change. So what I'm going to be sharing with you today is actually how you change your life in an effortless way, which sounds a little paradoxical. By the way, my name is Kevin Crenshaw. I help people in their business and actually become the person who operates a business out of integrity and in a way that's aligned. So hit that subscribe button. So you go into this, right? Actions. Well, the next thing you go, wait a second, that didn't work. Oh, I know. I got to change my thoughts. I got to change how I'm thinking about myself. I got to change how I'm thinking about this situation. I got to change my thoughts. And as a man thinketh, so is he, right? So I'm going to think differently. Well, how many of y'all tried to control your thoughts? It works sometimes and it doesn't work other times, right? Life happens, things happen. And sometimes you have thoughts that you don't want, especially if you've struggled with mental health like me. It's just hard to actually control your thoughts. So you go to, I know, I'm going to control my beliefs. I'm going to feel and believe like I'm enough. If I just believe it, I can achieve it. And that is true to a certain extent, right? But we want to align all of these things. And if we're just focusing on, okay, if I change my beliefs, then I'll change the thoughts that I'm having and that'll change the actions I take. Very true. You know, I believe that I can do it. So I'm going to think different thoughts that I can do it. And I'm going to take actions as if I know I can do it. It sounds good. It works. Until it doesn't. And when does it not work? Well, what's this line right here that's going in the middle between the B and the V and underneath all down here is subconscious work. So then you go, oh, I know. I've got certain values, an operating system that I value certain things more than others. Maybe you value safety more than certainty. Or I'm sorry, certainty more than uncertainty or variety. You value safety more than you value impact, for example. You're going to take certain actions. It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter how much you believe you deserve it. It doesn't matter how much you believe it can happen. If you value certain things above certain things, you're going to sabotage everything to meet your value needs. So values, we could sit here and do EFT tapping and rework your values and do it, logically, like I've done in the past, and it'll make some change. You bring it to your consciousness, right? But what happens when you're primarily met with a trigger? Like something happens that's like some tragedy in life. Somebody passes away, or you get an eviction notice on the door, or somebody steals a bunch of money, or something goes awry. Like what happens in those moments is more of this, your fears and desires template. So if you've done any like existential kink type of work, this is your subconscious turn on and turn offs. What are you naturally pulled to and pulled away from erotically? And that can also change, right? But that's that's deeper than your values. So if I go, a bunch of the EK work is existential kink, that is okay, I'm going to be turned on by doing the thing that I'm scared to do. And then that's going to change your values. It's going to change your beliefs, thoughts, and actions. Right? Makes sense. Then I studied somatics because I had a near-death experience and accidentally overdosed on plant medicine. And I realized I need to feel safe in my nervous system. There goes my pen. I'm going to grab this one, my marker. I need to feel safe in my nervous system. So from a nervous system perspective, if you feel safe, then all your fears and desires are going to change. So the fears and desires are like, that's kind of like the person who's attracted to a toxic relationship. You mistake toxic chemistry for love, right? It's because somatically you're not safe. So if somatically you're safe, then that changes and you're actually able to crave safety. And then what you're scared of and desire change. That changes your values, beliefs, your thoughts, your actions inside of a relationship, for example. So hopefully this is all making sense. I'm going pretty fast, but your somatic state. So that's changing your nervous system's association to things. So you got an association to making content. You got an association to money. You got an association to your spouse. You got an association to whatever the thing is. It's either your fear, it's an opening, whatever that association is, it's learning to change those associations. That was a lot of the work that I did with my clients as a relationship coach. Changing those associations through somatics, through hypnosis, and internal family systems, which is like parts work, right? So we were working here to have different associations, and then it would naturally change how they showed up in the actions they took in dating or with their spouse. Now, I just apply all of this to business, but the bottom one, if you change this one, all of the others naturally change. So if you want to change your life in 2026, it comes down to your identity. Now, I want to talk about this. I used to try to fabricate my own identity. I used to say, I am enough, or I am a podcaster, or I am a 6-figure coach, or whatever the thing was that I was going for. And those things work. But you have to effort yourself to believe them. That's the problem. It's a conscious choice choosing into it. But if you believe something to be true about yourself, and I'm not talking about just a belief, but your identity, it changes how you show up in the world. And then how you show up in the world, signal, see, this looks like a giant Wi-Fi signal. It attracts certain things, all down to the identity level. So if you want to change your life, you have to change your identity, which is what you believe to be true about yourself. Now, I used to try to fabricate my own identity, hypnosis myself into a certain identity and all these things. And sure, things changed, but it still took effort to maintain the identity. When I was unconscious and not in the work, so to speak, my identity came from other people. It was like, do they like me? Do they not? This thing, that thing, right? So my identity either came from other people. Then it was fully self-fabricated, and I was edging on being narcissistic. Let me just say that. It was self-obsessed, masked as self-love, and I was very obsessed with myself, trying to figure out myself, and everything else in my life was a pawn in me trying to understand my identity and myself. And I was trying to change in all of these things, and it was like, if I just lock in on all of this, then bam. Like, see how hard it would be to maintain that? I got really tired, y'all. Maybe you're in this situation, or you're trying to change your life in some way. The money's not going to change your life. The relationship's not going to change your life. The health isn't going to change your life. It will change, but there's a difference between change and spiritual evolution. I don't have time to get into that right now. That's in my book, Perspectives. Check it out on Amazon. Change is different than being liberated spiritually, and you no longer have the same fears. You no longer move through the world in the same way, right? Like, I went from binge eating to manically counting calories. I was still under spirit of uncontrol and then manic control, and I still had the same insecurities, even though my life changed and I was healthier, for example. So now when I focus on identity, for me personally, that's my relationship with God. Who does God say that I am? And that happens for me through scripture and in prayer with Christ and God the Father. Because now it's based on something that I don't need to fabricate. It's not based on something that I do or don't do. It's not based on something that other people say about me, or even if it's good, the praise or the hate. It's not based on any of that stuff. It's not based on what I have and what I don't, what I've done and what I haven't done, where I'm going or where I'm not going. It's based on who I am. And the closest thing I can give you to this, if you don't really understand that, is the love, the unconditional love of a mother to a child, or the unconditional love to two people who love each other and are in union unconditionally and they're locked in for life. It's this, I just love you, period. There's no conditions on that. Well, that's the love of the Father. And so when I know that I am a child of God and a co-heir with Christ, And my inheritance from the God who's made everything is everything. And he loves me, period. Kind of like the story of the prodigal son, right? Like, Dad, I blew all the inheritance. I made a mess of myself. Like, he's like, I don't care. My son's home. Identity. When we rest in our beloved identity in our soul, and it's not something you have to consciously choose, but you experience it. Now, all of a sudden, your body feels safe. Your desires and fears are different because you're not doing life alone. Your values change naturally. Your beliefs change, your thoughts change, and your actions change as a byproduct of being connected to the vine, of resting and keeping your eyes on Christ, of resting in your beloved identity, all the stuff that Scripture talks about. That's why one of the reasons why Scripture is so amazing is because it's addressing all of this from the core of it, which is identity. It's not by, we don't get saved by works. It's a gift. And when we receive it, we receive a new identity. We are born again. And so that changes who we are because of the identity. And it's not a trying to change. It's not a moral compass. It just naturally happens. And so my prayer for you is, if this is all new information for you, work on the identity level. Start to think about, who do I think I am in the universe? Who do I think I am to God? Who am I to myself? Who am I to other people? That'll show you who you see your identity to be. And then instead of trying to fabricate it yourself, why don't you go start reading Scripture and start praying and spending time in the secret place? Go, God, you show me who I am. I'm going to give you my identity. I'm going to give you my platform. I'm going to give you the things that I've done, the achievements I have, the ways in which I wear a badge saying that I'm a good person or I'm a bad person or whatever it is you're wrestling with, whether it's good or bad. I'm going to give it to God, and God, I want to see myself through your eyes. That is what's going to change your life in 2026. Because that's what you keep. You can make a lot of money and lose a lot of money. You could fall in love and fall out of love. And God forbid something happens and somebody passes. Everything is temporary. This identity piece, though, is what God cares about, because that's what's connected to your heart. He's worried about your character, not your cash flow. He's worried about your character, not your impact. He's worried about your character, not just your relationship. He's worried. Not even worried. He cares about the character, and it's what he's sculpting. It says in Proverbs, the furnace for gold, but God tests the heart. He's sculpting your heart. Why? Character belongs in the space of identity. It's not something that you choose. It's not something you have to try. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. All you have to do is choose. And I'll leave you with this. One of the scriptures talks about when Christ says to the lame person, pick up your mat or pick up your bed and walk. Pick up your bed where you've been resting and walk. Get in action. Choose the new identity. What if it's all just simply a choice? And you don't have to inner work yourself, because inner work is the antithesis to Scripture. Inner, focusing on yourself versus focusing on God. Work, effort versus abiding. We don't have to, he didn't say, inner work yourself and believe it enough and then you'll get up and walk. He said, pick up your bed and walk. He didn't say, I need you to believe enough and do enough shadow work and work on yourself for a little bit and then I'll give it to you. He said, do you want to be free? So think about the struggle that you're in, whether it's financial or relational or whatever pattern you're in. What if it was as simple as changing your identity of who you believe you are from faith because of what God said, and you choose into something versus trying to fight against and trying to manage your thoughts and your actions and your emotions like a mad person? Are you tired yet? Drop it. Rest in the love of the Father. Soak in that beloved identity. And that happens from being in relationship with him, not focusing on a do's and don'ts list of rules of religion, what religion says. From all of that, everything else flows. And that is how God will change your 2026 and open up doors, and the floodgates will just open and the Red Sea will part and everything will change, not because you're changing it, but because you finally got out of the way and let God work. Hope this has been really helpful for y'all. Hit that subscribe button. If you've got any questions or had any ahas, please let me know in the comments. And hey, I'll see you in the next video. I'm excited to be doing these on the weekly, and hopefully more here soon.